Monday night, March 6th, 2023, and we're live on the ISC Sports Network, on the ISC Sports Network Twitter page and the Tan and J-Man Show Facebook page. Thanks for joining us, everybody out there in the Tan and J-Man Show Nation. Josh the J-Man Munt, my co-host, is across the screen from me in Lockport, Illinois. What's going on, J-Man? How are you?
Not a whole lot. Looking tan there, T-Dog.
Well, you know what they say. I am tanner than most.
I
am tanner than most. But good job hosting the show last week, J-Man. And a thank you, or as the natives in Hawaii say, mahalo, to Dan the Man Munt for filling in on the show last week. I really enjoyed watching and listening to it. Really thought it was cool how he gave his background story of why he likes the teams he does, and really enjoyed the word association last week. So good stuff.
Yeah, that was one of the funner ones I've done in a while.
Yeah, he did a really good job. It was cool to watch, and of course, father son, you guys have good chemistry, and it was good to get some baseball talk in. I'm glad you guys took that over.
Yeah, and we needed it too last week. It was kind of one of the bad sports weeks, right towards the end of Big Ten basketball season. Tournaments haven't happened yet, or weren't even coming up yet, and football's done. I think we spent about a half hour or so talking baseball. It's kind of nice.
We're getting kind of to that time, you said, but at the same time, I mean, here, this week's conference championship week, we're going to have tons of Big Ten hoops talk and some other college basketball talk tonight. And then also, like we say a lot on this show, the NFL never really has an offseason. And all of a sudden, the buzz is starting. There was a lot of breaking news today going on and over the weekend. And I, on the plane, like I told you in a text message earlier, I watched a lot of the Combine. So I kind of have my take on who I think might do well at the next level and who I think will be a bust.
The legal tampering period starts, I think, a week from today or maybe a week from yesterday. So that's when we'll really start. I mean, it seems like the NFL season just ended and it's already been 4 weeks. 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. But it's the NFL never rests. They usually take some time off in June, but it seems like something's always popping off anyway, even in June.
Well, and isn't tomorrow the deadline for when teams have to tag people?
I think tomorrow is deadline. Now that you say that,
so that'll be interesting too for a few teams. But we'll get all into that. But first, do you have some birdie or bogey for me? I believe I am a stroke up.
I will check real quick. I need to pull that up. Wouldn't surprise me if you are a stroke up. Let's see. You are trying to make it a commanding 2-stroke lead here, and I think you have a pretty good shot to do it. I mean, famous last words, but Damian Lillard had his 5th game with 60 or more points this past week. Only 2 players have more 60-point games. Who are those 2 players?
It's a good one.
Birdie Bogey is brought to you by Arlington Public House. Arlington Public House has upscale cuisine and cocktails with a casual atmosphere. Located 703 Main Street, Rochester, Indiana. Let's see here. What did they have? Over the weekend, they had almond-crusted halibut with steamed spinach and roasted strawberry balsamic glaze with wild rice.
Sounds pretty good. I had a lot of fish in Hawaii, but I did not have halibut. So, isn't that the fish Arthur Spooner really liked on the King of Queens? Wasn't there an episode where...
was it halibut? Because I know Arthur went through some weird food stuff. I think it was halibut that he forced, and Doug hated it. Hated halibut. He only liked one kind of fish, and I don't remember which one it was, but he said it reminded him of meat. So,
I think it was
kind of, fish that was. But yes, I think halibut is the Arthur Spooner. I actually just watched the episode where Arthur Spooner wanted Domino's, little neighborhood joint called Domino's. So.
Still a great show. It's amazing some of these 90s and 2000s comedy sitcoms, how they're outdated, but yet a lot of it still lands today. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. it. All right, well, let's dive right into it. We got a lot of hoops to talk about. The Big Ten regular season is complete now. I thought the Big Ten Network might be doing their awards tonight, but I don't see it, so I don't know when they're doing that.
It seems like they've been doing those on Tuesdays. It used to be Mondays, but I remember they did the football one on a Tuesday this past year. And that kind of threw us off as well because we thought it was going to be that night.
Right.
But, yeah. Coach of the year?
I'm hoping it's Matt Painter, but I think it'll be Chris Collins.
It'll be Chris Collins.
Yeah.
Especially because all the writers are – and, I mean, Purdue definitely wasn't projected to be the best team in the Big Ten, but they were still projected tourney team, be fairly good. Where Northwestern was supposed to be terrible, and now they're got the 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament, and so that's the way it rolls.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I was looking at our predictions for the season earlier today. We both had Northwestern finishing 12th in the conference.
Yeah. And if they would have lost yesterday, they would have been a lot closer to 12th than they were today.
That's true. That's true. Even though they would still be in the tournament. That's well said. Here were our predictions. Starting with yours. You had Michigan winning the conference. You had Illinois second. You had Indiana third. Pretty close there. You had Purdue fourth. Iowa fifth. Ohio State sixth.
Yeah.
Michigan State 7th. Rutgers 8th. Maryland 9th. Penn State 10th. Wisconsin 11th. Good call there. Northwestern 12th. Minnesota 13th. And Nebraska 14th. And your player of the year was Hunter Dickinson. I had IU winning the conference. I had Michigan getting second. I had Illinois getting third. I had Michigan State getting fourth. I had Purdue getting fifth. Ohio State 6th. I missed the mark there just like you did. Iowa 7th. Penn State 8th. Wisconsin 9th. Rutgers 10th. Maryland 11th. Northwestern 12th. Nebraska 13th. And Minnesota 14th. I as well had Hunter Dickinson as my player of the year.
And honestly, with how crazy the standings were going into yesterday, if Illinois completes that comeback, they finish second.
Yep.
Or third. I can't remember which one. I think Indiana would have had to lose in order to finish second. But it literally came down to yesterday. There were how many teams? 6, 7 teams that had 11 wins yesterday, or 10 wins at least.
Yeah, going into yesterday, the only seeding that was already finalized was the 1 seed, 13, and 14.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. They just beat up on each other every single year, and now we're sitting here 6 days from Selection Sunday. How many teams, or I should ask, I think a decent amount of teams are safe. What teams are sweating it out heading into the Big Ten tourney?
Well, Michigan, Rutgers, both of them. That's
for sure.
That's a game on Thursday that the loser's out, in my opinion.
I agree.
I think if Rutgers wins, they sneak in, but they might have to beat Purdue on Friday to feel really safe. Michigan, I think, will have to beat both Rutgers and Purdue to get in. Wisconsin, I think they need a win. They definitely, you got to take care of business Ohio State on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then maybe even beat Iowa on Thursday. I think Penn State's in, which is crazy because a week ago I didn't think so.
Yeah, Penn State, 2 buzzer beaters.
Yeah.
One on the road, one at home. they got it. That's 2 quad 1 wins right there. I think if they beat Illinois, they're absolutely safe. I think they're for sure in. If they lose, I think they'll be sweating it out, but I think they might get in like in a play-in game sort of thing. Yeah. As for Wisconsin, I keep them as far away from the NCAA tournament as possible. I think that team does not deserve to get in, for one. 2, they are so incredibly boring. They're very much like Rutgers in that sense. Good defensively, terrible offense. And sure, they have I think they have 6 quad 1 wins. But their resume is not that great overall. Did they beat Marquette earlier in the year?
Let me look it up.
Yeah, I can't remember if they beat Marquette. I want to say they did beat Marquette. I know Purdue beat Marquette. But
they did beat Marquette 80-77 on December 3rd.
And I know Nebraska's playing better, but they lost to Nebraska. Um, who they? I mean, if they would have lost yesterday to Minnesota, they were absolutely out, no shot to get in, and that's what I think is going to keep Rutgers out, because I think they do have to beat. Obviously, they have to beat Michigan, but I think they're going to have to beat Purdue too because they have limped to the finish line. You can't lose. I mean, I know Northwestern's better. You can't lose to them at home. You definitely can't lose to Minnesota, especially when you're up. They were up? What was it? 10 with a minute 20 left, something like that. That's enough to get you out of the tournament there, or to keep you out of the tournament, I should say. Michigan, I'm with you. I think they might even have to get to the Big Ten championship game to get in. They had two golden opportunities this past week at Illinois. They were down 7 with a minute and a half in regulation, came back and tied it, and then they were up 7, minute and a half left in overtime and blew it. And Illinois ended up beating them in double overtime. And then yesterday they were down, 15 early, came all the way back, got up to double-digit lead, and then they choked that away, ended up losing. You win both of those, you're in. Even one of them, I think you feel okay heading into the Big Ten tournament. But now I think they got to get to Sunday.
They're still a scary team in the Big Ten tournament because they have a lot of talent, scary. But they're not well coached.
No,
they're just not well coached, especially late games when it's tight. But it was another crazy week in the Big Ten, like it is every week, like it's been. I mean, that's been the MO all season long. Here are the final standings of the Big Ten. Purdue ended up winning the Big Ten. They actually had won it before, thanks to Illinois, before they even played Wisconsin, but they went ahead and took care of business up at the Kohl Center in a tight game, and then hung on for dear life yesterday against Illinois, which we'll talk about here in a minute. So they're the 1 seed. They'll play the winner of Rutgers, Michigan on Friday at noon. The game after that is the 4 seed Michigan State, which will await the winner of 5 seed Iowa and either 13 seed Ohio State or 12 seed Wisconsin. Then you got the 2 seed Northwestern, who will await the winner of 10 seed Penn State, 7 seed Illinois. And then the nightcap Friday night, you got 3 seed Indiana, who will await the winner of either 6 seeded Maryland or 11 seeded Nebraska or 14 seeded Minnesota. How do you see this Big Ten tournament playing out?
Well, it's always fun. As far as winner, I honestly have no idea. I think it's a coin flip. I don't really think any team besides Nebraska right now is playing that well.
I agree with you there. I do think, though, it will be one of the 4 teams that gets the double bye, in my opinion, will win it this year. I
wholeheartedly agree. Honestly, I think of the teams that didn't get the double bye, I think Illinois and Penn State have the easiest road to get there. Because the winner of that game then gets to play Northwestern, who still I don't think is very good, and then they get to play either Indiana or who would you say, Maryland?
Or Nebraska or Minnesota. Yeah.
Minnesota. I think that's the easiest route by far. I think Michigan's, and as far as your side of the bracket goes, I think Rutgers just lost to Northwestern, but I think Michigan's better than Northwestern. I think right now Ohio State's better than Northwestern.
I don't know. No, I'm not.
They've started playing better. I will never give Northwestern any sort of credit. I think they're trash.
You did 2 weeks ago. You said a lot of nice things about them 2 weeks ago.
I did, but I have since slept.
Come back down to earth.
They've come back down to earth as well, although they did win yesterday against a reeling Rutgers team.
When they make the Final Four, I'm blaming this on you.
I will be shocked if they win their first one. Like, I will be so shocked because they're going to play another power high major team. They're not going to beat a high major non-conference team. Are you kidding me?
I'm clipping this. I'm clipping this for next week.
Not good. I don't. They had a nice little run, and I'm blaming Purdue and Indiana for losing to them, and Iowa. Throw Iowa in there too. It's all your guys' fault.
Oh man, but it's going to be interesting. I do like Purdue's half of the bracket. Rutgers has had Purdue's number as of late the past few years, but I want to get them again. Either way, Purdue plays Michigan or Rutgers for the second time. They've only played each of them once. Michigan, Purdue got them on the road the first time they played. I do have a little PTSD from last time Purdue was a 1 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Michigan knocked them out in a game Purdue should have won. But I think Purdue will make the championship. Who they play, I don't know. I would say Indiana. But historically, Purdue and Indiana have only met up one time in the Big Ten tournament ever, and that was in the first one in 1998. So, it really wouldn't shock me if we get a rematch of yesterday's game of Purdue and Illinois. Call me crazy, but that would not shock me.
Yeah, I think this Illinois team, if they played like they did in second halves, they'd be probably the best team in the country. You can't get down 11-0, especially at Mackey Arena. I know you fought back, and honestly, they were better with Edie on the court yesterday. Edie was a -10. When's the last time he's been a minus double digits when he's on the court?
Hasn't happened this year.
Which credit to Coleman Hawkins. He's given up 80 pounds and 6 inches, and he held his own down there. I didn't watch it in the second half because I was so disgusted with the first half, so I don't really know. I just kept checking the score every once in a while. But
Illinois just kept chipping away. It was like, they're getting stops, and then all of a sudden they'd hit like 3 threes in a row. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's 13-point game out of nowhere. And then, they get cranked it up on the defensive pressure. It just, I don't know what sparked it all of a sudden. I really don't, because Purdue got up by 24.
That's the frustrating part for me. We're at game 31 now. It's who they are. You can't say, well, they fought hard. Maybe they can carry this momentum into it. No, they came back from 16 down with 10 minutes to play against Northwestern. Thought, oh, maybe it's a turning point. They come out and just get torched by a terrible Ohio State team. They got down 10-4 against Michigan. It's just, it's so freaking frustrating because I've said it from the start of the season up until now. You put each team's best in the Big Ten right next to each other. I think Illinois is better than everyone, but they're not better than everyone because they come out flat. They don't have a point guard. It's so unbelievably frustrating. I don't think Epps is going to play the rest of the year because of his very severe concussion where they had to spend the night in the hospital.
That in practice, didn't it?
Yeah, happened in practice. You have Matt Meyer overdosing on Monster energy drinks.
That's unbelievable. Which has nothing to laugh about because that
could have been
5-minute Monster's just really serious stuff.
Real bad, but now that he's okay, it is kind of funny because that's just what it's just.
It's a season in a nutshell, isn't it?
It is. This team has been so incredibly frustrating, and I know they're going to get to the second weekend and it'll be great, but it'll at the same time tick me off because this team does not deserve to get it over that 21 team or even last year's team. It just feels like this is the year they get to that second weekend. And they'll be in that 8 and 9. They'll be a scary 8 or 9, but I have no idea what to think about them. 31 games in, ready for it to be over. They're not going to win a national title, win a game or two in the NCAA tournament, call it a day.
Well, the reason I think they can get to the championship, once again, I agree with you. I think they are the most talented team. Now they got to get past their kryptonite, Penn State. But I've always said it's hard, unbelievably hard to beat a team 3 times in the season. So they're due. If they get past them, they're going to have a huge crowd. United Center, anyways. They would get past Northwestern, I would think, and then Maryland's not the same team away from College Park.
They won one road game this year.
But they did do okay on neutral court. I think they went 2-1. Indiana's not the same team away from Assembly Hall, but they'll have a big crowd at United Center. I think Illinois got a good path, but it has to start on Thursday by beating Penn State, of course.
Don't talk me into it, Tanner.
I'm talking you into
it. Illinois has been really good on neutral court as well. Besides that, Missouri atrocity. They beat Texas and UCLA, and both teams. UCLA is number 1 team in the country right now. If they did not win either of those games, Illinois is an NIT bound. That is
they'd be sweating at least. Yeah,
only they would have 0 quad 1 wins. The only thing the resume has now, they have 2 quad 1 wins. They have no bad loss. They only have 1 quad 1 or quad 2 loss. All the rest are quad 1. So that's the only reason why they're in now and why they're safe.
And that's what I'm hoping with Purdue. Maybe neutral court again, first time in a while they can get going because they played great on neutral court back in November. But yesterday in the first half, that Purdue team reminded me of November Purdue. Mm-hmm. But second half didn't remind me of November Purdue. It reminded me of more of what we've been seeing the last couple of weeks, which it's weird how the media spins it because Purdue's won 3 out of the last 4. But if you listen to the media, they've lost 4 of their last 9, which is true on both sides, but just how you want to spin it. And they did that for other Big Ten teams too. Except Northwestern, they don't want to talk about it. They lost 3 of the last 4. game for
I'll
whatever
talk
reason.
about it.
I know you will.
Yeah, this whole talk about Illinois has a lot of winning experience. They were shell-shocked yesterday. I thought before the game, they have never seen a crowd as loud as Mackey Arena, ever. It doesn't matter if you played in a national championship game. Mackey Arena is a whole different animal, and it got down 11-0. Shannon was shell-shocked, got his pocket picked. Brandon Newman, once again, a guy has a career day.
Add him to the list. Add him to the list.
Let's see. Who else? Jameer Young this year. Boo Booey. Trace Jackson Davis twice. Everyone scored. It wasn't Newman's career high, but he came pretty
right.
close.
And he played really well defensively, and he's been playing better. And when he goes, it really sparks Purdue.
He hadn't scored double digits since early January, right?
Probably right.
January 6th.
I don't know that off the top of my head, but
in the first half.
He has started both games last week pretty much because of his defensive effort. Because Ethan Morton's been struggling a little bit, but he and Braden Smith came out with the juice yesterday in the first half. Just second half, nobody really brought except Edie. And Trey Kaufman-Wren had a good game yesterday.
The reason Purdue won is because when Edie went to the bench with his second foul, Purdue went on 22-5 run and then laughed. That was it.
And they haven't done that all year. They haven't done that all year when he's out.
Game over.
So we'll see. But what's your prediction, I guess, for the Big Ten tournament? Wrapping back down to that.
You just want to go game by game real quick here, starting with I have the bracket pulled up here.
I just closed mine, so I'm glad you have it up.
Ohio State against Wisconsin.
I'm going Wisconsin in a close one. I know Ohio State's been playing better, but I'm not a believer in them.
Give me Ohio State. I cannot stand this Wisconsin team. Minnesota against the hottest team in the country, Nebraska.
Give me Nebraska. It's impressive what Hoiberg's done, getting them the 500 record. I guess watch out for them next year.
Yeah. Credit Ben Johnson. His team has not quit, and they easily could have.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, give me Nebraska. Rutgers against Michigan.
Man, this is a tough one. I'm going Rutgers because I think Michigan loses another close one. I just don't think they can finish. I think they're more talented than Rutgers, but
you want Rutgers to win.
I do want Rutgers. I want Rutgers. That's who I want.
Give me Michigan.
All right.
I have Ohio State against Iowa. Give me Iowa.
Give me Iowa against Wisconsin or Ohio State. So even though they didn't look good yesterday.
Penn State against Illinois.
Well, it was spoiler alert a few minutes ago for my prediction, but give me the line. It's hard to beat a team 3 times.
It is hard to beat a team 3 times. However, Pickett went off for 40 last time. He had an unbelievable game. You would think Illinois would come out fired up, but they haven't all season. Give me Illinois by 1. Nebraska against Maryland.
Maryland. And a close one, though. Close one.
Yeah, Nebraska just knocked off Maryland. I didn't think many people thought Nebraska would go into Iowa and get it done yesterday, but they did. Give me Maryland in a close one. Rutgers, Purdue.
Give me Purdue. I think the rest will do them good, and give me Purdue.
I have Michigan and Purdue, and I'm really tempted to pick Michigan, but I hate Michigan, so I'm going Purdue. I think that'd be a slobber knocker.
Yeah.
I think we both have Iowa, right? Michigan State.
Oh, good matchup here. Something tells me Sparty gets it done.
Michigan State, especially after blowing that huge lead late against Iowa in Iowa last Saturday. Give me Michigan State. Illinois, Northwestern.
Illinois.
Yeah, Illinois by 34.
Northwestern wants to see Penn State. They do not want to see Illinois.
I don't know if they'd really want to see Penn State either.
Well,
they're just happy to be there.
yeah, they are.
Maryland, Indiana.
Give me the Hoosiers in those one.
Yeah, give me Indiana. Purdue, Michigan State.
It's hard to be a team 3 times, but I'm saying Purdue does it just because that's a bad match for Michigan State because Izzo doesn't double Zach Edey. He doesn't double Zach Edey. So.
And that Matty Sissoko or whatever his name is, he's a huge dude, but he looks tiny compared to Zach Edey.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Purdue. Illinois, Indiana.
I said it earlier. I think it would be a raucous environment. You would be getting married right when this game, right around tip time. Just because of that, I'll take the Illini.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Man, Illinois should have knocked off Indiana in Indiana without Terrence Shannon too.
Yeah.
They let that one slip through. Indiana's kind of limped to the finish line, losing 2 in a row. Oh, man, what, Tanner? Give me Illinois. Oh,
we're right there. We're right there.
Why? Purdue, Illinois in the Big Ten shit. This is such a homer.
It is. We're splitting each way.
Yeah, yours isn't as much of a homer as mine is. But
should I just take Illinois and you take Purdue to flip things up?
Let's do it.
Either way, it'd be fun. It would be fun. Yeah. Oh no, they. I was gonna say last time they met in the Big Ten tournament was way back in 2009, but no, they met.
Oh, that was a terrible Illinois.
Yeah,
team.
they met in
2016, I think.
16, yeah, and it was a slaughter.
That was 30-point drubbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm almost like I'd be great for Illinois to get there, but at the same time, it's probably not great. They have to play 4 games in a row.
Yeah, I'm always on the fence of that because I see both sides because you can get momentum, but at the same time you can get tired. Look at Iowa last year; they looked tired round 1 and got knocked out.
Look at Illinois the year before. But at the same time, I don't want to lose Northwestern or Indiana.
And if you win the Big Ten tournament, no matter what happens in the NCAA tournament, at least you get something out of the season.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, this will be the J-Man's book of prediction of the week. Give me the Boilers. I think, regardless of who Purdue plays, I think they get there. Purdue is such a tough matchup for other Big Ten teams that it's just, I mean, they lost. What was their record? 15-5.
Yeah, 26-5 on the season.
The season, yeah. So yeah, I just think Purdue is going to be too tough for whoever they play. Now, if they play Indiana again, Indiana clearly knows how to beat them this year. But again, tough to beat a team 3 times. I don't see Purdue losing to really anyone else except honestly, the game I'd be most scared about is Michigan.
I know. Yeah. And Rutgers gives me it makes me a little nervous just because they've had Purdue's number, but I want an opportunity to beat them because I'm tired of them beating Purdue. So.
J-Man's Book of Prediction Week brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Watching for life, home, auto, business, renters, workers' comp, and farm insurance. Contact Travis at 219-869-4561. His email is travis.watching@infb.com.
One more thing about the Big Ten tournament before we get into my word association, which is Big Ten tournament related. My dad, as you know, and many of his friends are in a Big Ten Fantasy League every year, which I believe Dad won. I think he wrapped it up yesterday. But now they do a Big Ten tournament where you get to pick 5 guys, and it's just a scoring-based league. Who would be the 5 guys you would choose for your team? Because there's some strategy involved here. Because you kind of got to think of guys who you think are going to play a lot of games.
Yeah, man, that's tough. It'd be real easy to pick Bryce Sensabaugh just in case they make some sort of run.
My dad had him on his team.
Yeah, that'd be if they can even get 3 games. Assuming Purdue plays 3 games, you got to go Edey if he's going to put 20 each. Same with Trace Jackson Davis.
Right. I would almost go Jalen Hood-Schifino, but he seems like he only does that against Purdue when he goes just absolutely nuts.
Pickett would be another guy.
I think you have to go Pickett, don't you? Just in case they get past Illinois.
Yeah. Dickinson's another one because they're a scary out. I don't like him, but Bowie as well if they win a few games.
Murray, I think he's
Chris Murray.
Yeah. Heck, if McCaffrey shoots the way he was yesterday, hit 5 threes in the first half.
Connor?
No.
Patrick?
No, Patrick Connor hadn't hit 5 threes in his career. I've never seen a guy. This is probably coming back to bite me. They're probably going to play Purdue and he's going to have 50. But I've never seen a guy in the Big Ten that likes to shoot threes as much as him that's bad at it.
Yeah, maybe it's just PTSD, but he's like 70% 3-point shooter against Illinois in his career. He does shoot a lot of them. That team shoots a lot of them, and I've never seen a team the splits away from home. Like they're like 88 points a game at home and like 66 on the road. He's a 33% 3-point. He has been there 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
33% 3-point shooter this year, and he's shooting almost 4 a game. So
you said 6th year, and this reminded me of this. See, Xavier Johnson applied for another year, which would be his 7th, I believe, if he gets. I don't think it would get approved, but you never know.
He started at Pitt. You never know. He did get hurt early enough that maybe the NCAA is becoming more lax with that sort of stuff. Because he got hurt against Kansas, which was I think early December, wasn't it?
Sounds right. They used to, the NCAA used to barely ever give guys 6th years, even when they were in line to get one. But now that's one thing. I'm ready for this COVID year stuff to be over with here in 2 years, so we can get back to the normal.
Yeah, I think the coaches are starting to get that way too.
Because the numbers game is kind of difficult. Before we get into the Big Ten Tournament Word Association, any other thoughts of college hoops around the country? Did you watch any ball over the weekend?
I understand why ESPN does it, putting Duke Carolina on there, but Miami and Pitt were playing for the ACC title on Saturday, and they relegated that to the ACC network instead. Tells you all you need to know.
Yep. I do think you're talking about ACC. I think Duke wins that tournament.
I agree. They're playing some good basketball right now too.
I think they win that tournament.
Does North Carolina get in?
No, not unless they get hot.
Yeah, I kind of the same as last year because they were terrible last year. Almost the identical team that just snuck in and got hot at the right time, then became preseason number 1. No wonder they struggled as much as they did because they weren't that good.
They should have won the title last year. They choked it against Kansas. They were up big. I think Duke wins the ACC. I think UCLA wins the Pac-12. I got to watch them against Arizona on my flight the other night, and they're really good when they're hitting shots because they're always going to be good defensively, but when they're hitting shots, they're really good.
Yeah,
Arizona's good too. But
Mick Cronin is a heck of a basketball coach. Did great at Cincinnati. Now he's doing great at UCLA, and people thought that was a terrible fit too.
He's one of 4 active coaches to lead their tournament because they're going to make it. All these teams are going to make it to lead their team to 11 straight NCAA appearances. Can you name the other 3?
11 straight NCAA tourneys. Tom Izzo.
Yep.
Bill Self.
Yep.
11 straight. Mark Few.
Yep. I was going to say, you're going to kick yourself if you don't get that one. So I think UCLA will win the Pac-12. Big 12, I think Kansas wins it.
That's going to be a good one, though.
That's going to be a really good one.
Yeah.
Kansas State could win it. Texas could win it. TCU could win it. Baylor could win it. Iowa State could win it.
Yeah.
SEC, I think Kentucky. I think that's a team nobody wants to see in the NCAA tournament. They're starting to play really good.
There's so much surrounding Alabama right now with the whole Brandon Miller thing.
I think they're going to get bounced early in the tournament.
It seems like they've been winning, and they did lose against Texas A&M, but it seems like they haven't played that well when they've been winning. They've just been finding ways, but they have some distractions.
And then the Big East.
That's going to be a good one too.
I think Marquette's the best team, but watch for UConn.
I was just about to say UConn, or maybe even Creighton, although Creighton's without one of their better players for the year.
Creighton was top 10 preseason, and they've kind of struggled here and there. But there's going to be a lot of good conference tournaments going on. It's going to be a fun week to watch. Houston, of course, they won over Memphis yesterday.
Yesterday, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think Purdue will end up being a 2.
Think so?
I think UCLA will get the final 1, but I don't know. Maybe Alabama falls early in the SEC or something. If Purdue gets to the Big Ten tournament title game, I don't know how you can keep them off the 1 line, but I don't know who you replace.
Yeah, because I think Houston's got it on lock. Assuming UCLA wins the Pac-12, I think they got it. Kansas has like 20,000 quad 1 wins. So
I know.
And I mean, Alabama's right there too.
I know. So which I don't know. There's a good argument on the Purdue message boards. Would you rather be a 1 seed in the New York region or Vegas region, or a 2 seed in the south of Louisville? So I don't know. I don't think that matters as much as matchups. So
yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, really, the 1 seed has the better road than the 2 seed. Not by much, but they do. So, so we'll see how it all plays out. But word association, I got a little lengthy list here. It's actually 12. There's only been 12 coaches to win the Big Ten tournament since the beginning in 98. We'll start with last year's winner, Fran McCaffrey.
Franny psychopath. Very fun to root against. I will say that. Good basketball coach. That dude is an offensive guru. For sure.
Yeah, I made a bold prediction a few weeks ago. I thought he'd be Notre Dame's next head coach. I don't see that happening now.
No.
So. But, yeah, he loves to get into it with referees. That stare down with the ref.
It's embarrassing.
A couple weeks ago, which is
It
hilarious.
is an embarrassment. I think Iowa fans are kind of sick of it too.
Yeah, I wonder what their AD is. But
yeah,
the year before that, your guy Brad Underwood.
This has been his worst coaching job, in my opinion. It might not be his worst coaching job, but it was his worst roster construction. I think he went out, got a bunch of good players, but how did they fit? Not that great, and they've been winning on talent alone, which is great, and that can carry in March. But at the same time, it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth, especially after losing the round of 32 when you're a 1 seed. It was a terrible, terrible draw for one. I'm still mad about that one because that was like a top 10 Kim Pom team they had to play in that round of 32, and then last year is what it is. But he's got to get to that second weekend eventually, or it's going to start creeping up on him. Can't win in the tournament.
Yeah, the world of NIL. It's interesting when the strategy for coaches when it goes into that.
I know coaches hate it.
A guy that's won this thing in 2019, 16, 14, 12, 2099, Mr. Tom Izzo.
Tommy Izzo. I think they're obviously a tournament team, and I think that was one of my bold predictions that they would miss the tournament.
It was. It was looking good at the time.
It was 7 seed-ish, 6, 7, 8 seed, whatever. He hasn't had those elite teams that he has in the past few years, and I don't see it. I mean, they have top player in the country coming in next year. Maybe that changes things, but I don't know. It seems like he's kind of fading off a little bit.
I agree with that. John Beilein won it in 2018 and 17. Darn near three-peated in 2019, the last time the Big Ten tournament was in Chicago, but Michigan State beat them.
That dude, great basketball coach. His teams, they always said, January, February Izzo. It was January, February Beilein. That's what
true.
It was in the 2010s, because that dude's teams, starting right about now, those teams would get hot. Next thing you know, they're in the Elite Eight or national championship game. That dude could coach.
Good college basketball coach, not so much NBA.
Terrible NBA coach.
Which we see quite often nowadays. Mr. Bo Ryan, Big Ten tournament champ in 2015, 2008, and 2004.
Took Wisconsin out of the absolute cellar and turned them into a perennial winner. It's
like Barry Alvarez did in football.
Yeah. Came up short in the national title game and another Final Four the previous year. Mm-hmm. Those were some good teams, though, with Frank the Tank. And, I mean, he had good teams with Orlando Tucker and your boy
Devin Harris.
Joe Krabenhoff.
They have a lot of unlikable dudes over the years, but they won.
They really have. Yeah. John Lure.
Butler's Thad Matta, Ohio State's coach on the Big Ten tournament winning teams in 2013, 11, 2010, and 2007.
Thad to the bone. I don't think it's going to go very well for him in Butler the second time around. Great at Ohio State, great recruiter. I don't know if he was that great of a coach, though.
Yeah, and Butler, Brad Stevens made Butler what Butler is today, with the back-to-back runner-up finishes and remarkable runs. Man. And, it got, he did good there, not at Iowa. Yeah. And, it got them into the Big East, but I don't know if they can do well in the world of NIL. I really don't.
Yeah, I think they'll struggle.
Matt Painter, one-time winner in 2009. He's lost the championship numerous times, though.
In my opinion, clearly the best coach in the Big Ten. Top X's and O's. You look at his roster, their recruiting classes aren't that great ever. And continuously has top 3 teams in the Big Ten. Next thing you know, they're in a Sweet 16. Almost every single year, it feels like. he's had very few down years, and that just recruits to his system, and his system works.
In those down years, he learned from it
Mm-hmm.
and got back to his roots of his recruiting
Yep.
ways. So, and people ask me all the time if I see Matt Painter leaving. I don't think so. I think he's had opportunities in the past, and if he wanted to leave, or he probably could. But I think he's happy where he is. He doesn't make the most money of anybody in the Big Ten or anything like that, but he makes plenty for living in West Lafayette. And I think he's got a good thing rolling. And he's really just getting into his prime, which is crazy to think about age wise.
I always wonder how close he was to taking the Missouri job back in the day.
Yeah, that was my freshman year, and it sure seemed like it was real close, but some say he was playing it for leverage the whole time. Either way, it worked out because he did get more pay for his assistants.
Yep.
So more commitment to basketball, and it's worked out ever since.
He didn't have to be stuck in misery.
Steve Alford led the Hawkeyes to the Big Ten Tournament Championships in 2006 and 2001.
Stevie Alford now at the Nevada Wolfpack. They are right on that bubble. They had a terrible quad 3 loss on Saturday, though, that could keep him out.
Yeah.
But he's good at the level he's at now. Good at New Mexico, good at Nevada. Had some success at Iowa and UCLA, but I think he can be a consistent winner down in like the Mountain West sort of area.
I agree with that 100%. Your boy, Bruce Weber, 2005 Big Ten Tournament champs.
His tenure at Illinois ended very poorly, to the point where he blamed his players for all of their losing they did towards that stretch. And he's since apologized for all that. Good basketball coach, though. Had good success at Kansas State. Never really recruited as well as he should, as well as he could have. He did not capitalize on that national championship appearance whatsoever at Illinois. Good X's and O's guys. Very good on TV, too. Big
he is.
Network guy. One thing I'll always remember about him towards the end of his 10 years, whenever DJ Richardson would rise to shoot a 3, he'd scream, "No!" Good way to give your player confidence.
Another thing you can get mad about Bruce, if it wasn't for him, Sister Jean wouldn't have blown up like she has, because they could have knocked them out in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, well, I blame University of Miami for that as well, because they should have got him in round 1.
You can be mad at the University of Miami for a lot of things in the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Self, 2003, another Illinois coach.
I was at that game when they beat Ohio State. I was there. We actually got Steve Alford's tickets from his close contact, as many people know, in the Rochester area. But yeah, we actually sat right in the tunnel. That was my first ever Illinois game that I went to, so that was fun. Man, if he would have just, I don't blame him for leaving for Kansas. That's a blue blood. He's won 2 national titles there now, and to countless Final Fours. Man, if he would have just stayed, that would have been amazing.
I might have been at his last game he coached at Illinois, because I went into the second round of that year. Was that his last year, 2003?
Yeah,
I was then, because I went to Indianapolis, Notre Dame.
Yeah, lost Notre Dame. Yeah, that would have been.
Because Dwayne Wade beat Missouri in the following game, and
Dee
that was
Brown
Tom Crean's year.
Was real close to transferring to Michigan State. After that, Darren Williams about transferred to where did he about transferred to? I think it was
down somewhere in Texas. Maybe?
No, I think it was
home?
like Pittsburgh.
That was weird.
Pittsburgh
was good then. That's when they
Jamie Dixon.
Yeah, Jamie Dixon. All right, 2 more guys here. Jim O'Brien, a Buckeyes coach in 2002.
Yeah, got them on probation. And, their Super Bowl in 2005 was the Matt Sylvester game, which he seems like he's always at the Illinois-Ohio State game in Ohio State. Son of a gun. 18 years later, they're still might as well put his jersey up in the rafters for hitting a meaningless 3.
O'Brien was awful Indiana Pacers coach.
He was terrible, yeah.
And then I wasn't familiar with this guy. 1998 Michigan, the first Big Ten tournament. Brian Ellerby also got them in trouble.
Never heard of him, to be honest.
Yep.
I'm gonna Google him real quick.
Yeah, I know that was Tractor Trailer. This year they beat Purdue in the finals, and they got
Brian Ellerby. He is only 59 years old now, so he's only 35 then. Unless that was his dad that coached. Nope, he was Michigan's coach from 97 to 2001. He was a Michigan State assistant from 2015 to 2019. His career record, of course, a lot of these, they have been vacated, so I guess it's not real accurate. overall record, but 59-106. I remember when Michigan had a long stretch where they did not make the tournament. It was under, I think it was like 10 years from,
Tommy
obviously
Amaker.
started with Ellerby and then Tommy Amaker, and then Beeline takes over. And
yeah, Amaker was the NIT specialist. They were constantly making the NIT.
Yeah. He and Seth Greenberg, Virginia Tech, it seemed like they were always on the bubble.
Yep.
Every year.
Yep. Well, that's going to do it for this week's Word Association segment, which is brought to you by, like it is every week, Proforma Print 2 Promo Group. If you're looking for a trustworthy, dependable resource for your next trade show, company picnic, or sales meeting, Proforma Print 2 Promo Group has over 50 years combined experience in promotional products and commercial print. They strive for fast and efficient response to all your print needs, so you need to look no further. Simply let them be your one-source print and promotional company by giving Barbara Van Weinsberg a call at 574-210-3815, or you can email her at barbara.vanweinsberg@proforma.com.
Do you want to get educated?
Yes, let's do that before we wrap it up with some NFL talk.
On this day in 1922, Babe Ruth signed a 3-year contract with the New York Yankees at $52,000 a year.
Good move for Herman.
Yeah, I did the inflation calculator, and that's $926,000 back then.
Still not enough back then.
Still not enough. Absolutely not. On this day in 1923, the St. Louis Cardinals announced their players will wear numbers on their uniforms.
So they were just numberless before that.
Blank. Yep. No one knew who was getting hits or pitching or anything. That's typical Cardinals. Typical Cardinal arrogance.
Yeah, they're yeah. I heard your comments last week about Contreras.
Oh, yeah. 1972, Jack Nicklaus passed Arnold Palmer as golf's all-time money winner.
Two greats. I mean, those guys did well for themselves in money, but not near what guys do today. It's pretty incredible. Those two guys have made more money off the course since they've been done just from their brand, the Arnold Palmer brand, the Jack Nicklaus brand, than they did playing.
On this day, not a whole lot. Got some Big East tourneys. On this day in 2019, LeBron James scored his 32,293rd career point to pass Michael Jordan into 4th place on the NBA all-time point scoring list.
Now, of course, he's passed all the way to the top.
Everyone.
I'm surprised there wasn't on this day in 2016. Peyton Manning retired from the NFL.
He's not on there. Did not know that.
On this day in 2016. So. Doesn't seem that long ago, but yet it does. So.
7 years. Yeah.
But I feel smarter from today's on this day, and that's brought to you by, like it is every week, Mooney Woodcrafts. Mooney Woodcrafts is a veteran-owned and operated woodcraft shop based out of North Carolina with Indiana grassroots. They provide 100% hand-cut custom designs that fit your needs, and their pieces are a great addition to any home, office, or man cave. You can see some of their recently completed projects on Instagram and Facebook at Mooney Woodcrafts. And if you let Thad know that the Tan and J-Man show sent you, you get 15% off your order. So get your signs, get your growth charts. Like I said, great addition to any home, office, man cave, garage, etc.
Yes, sir. NFL, man.
I don't even know where to begin, really. I mean, I guess the big news today was it looks like Derek Carr is going to be a member of the New Orleans Saints. I think that'll be a good spot for him. My dad predicted that one a while back, so kudos to him for that. Now, where will Jameis Winston wind up as a backup? Maybe Denver. I'm thinking Sean Payton connection there. If I'm Denver, I'm going to get a veteran backup.
For sure.
Because if Russell Wilson's struggling, you bite the bullet and say, we're getting rid of him after the offseason. We're not letting the season go to waste. We're not putting a Brett Rippon or anybody like that in. We're going to put somebody in that's going to give us a chance to win some games. Because too much is invested now with Sean Payton, the new coaching staff, and everybody. But besides Derek Carr, I see another Derek Henry. Looks like he's going to be on a trading block from Tennessee Titans, announced today. Surprised me at first, but more I thought about it, he is getting some age on him.
Yeah, especially as a running back. I wouldn't give up a first-round pick like I'm sure they want for him, or pay him a bunch of money because, again, he's a running back who carries the ball 300-plus times a year, too.
Right. With the news of Derek Carr today, I think the quarterback dominoes will start to fall. I think we will see Lamar Jackson get franchise tagged by Baltimore tomorrow.
Will he be traded?
Or be traded. I think they'll franchise tag him. That's my guess. But If they trade him, I don't even know.
Jets.
Jets could, because Aaron Rodgers, if I had to guess, he's going back to Green Bay or he's retiring. That's my guess.
I'm so sick of his drama.
I am too.
So sick of it.
Adam Thielen, for whatever reason, they were interviewing him during the NFL Combine on Saturday when I was watching it on a long plane ride, and they asked him what he thought Rodgers would do. He said he thought he'd retire. But he's probably wishing that as a division foe. So we'll see what happens with Rodgers there. Geno Smith got a big contract today by Seattle Seahawks. What were the numbers on that?
3 years, $105 million, can make $52 million this year.
He had a great year.
He did.
Comeback player, most improved, whatever it is. Deservingly so, but this has Case Keenum written all over it.
It's such a stretch to give him that type of money. He had a good year. Best year of his career, though, and he's 32, 33 years old. Do you think he's going to be able to replicate that? Absolutely not. I'll be shocked if he replicates that.
Right. A lot of other guys that we thought might be hitting free agency, their teams have come out and said if they can't agree to terms by tomorrow, they will franchise tag them, like Tony Pollard on Dallas. There was another running back. Williams of Detroit, because it was thought that the running back free agency class was going to be pretty good, just like the draft class. And a lot of teams are starting to say, we're going to tag our running back, not let him hit the market.
It's tough paying a running back too for a multi-year deal because you might only get a year or two out of that. That's why I'd always go through the draft, but at the same time, I have a hard time picking a guy in the first round too, because you look at Saquon Barkley was a 4th overall pick. He's been good, healthy, but he's never healthy.
He's one who could hit free agency.
Yeah. Not Najee Harris hasn't been that great with Pittsburgh, averaging under 4 yards a carry there. So it's real tough to gauge a running back market for one. But again, it does look like a very good and deep running back class, draft class.
Your Dolphins were kind of in the news about not sure if they're going to pick up the 5th-year option on Tua.
Nah, they're going to pick it up.
You think, yeah.
That was one report. All the Dolphins beat writers say, that's hogwash.
Okay. I don't follow any Dolphins beat reporters, so that's why you're my Dolphins beat retarded reporter, J-Man.
they're more plugged in than the national guys. So which I haven't really heard anything from like Rappaport or Schefter about. Yeah,
I don't even know who said it. I saw it on Twitter and
it was a CBS report, and I don't really trust CBS with that sort of stuff.
Well, there was a report today that I don't even know. It blew up on Twitter, but it wasn't a national guy. It said that Sean Payton's not so sure about Russell Wilson this year is like his making or breaking year, which I agree about the second part. Yeah. But if he's not so sure about Russell, I don't think he takes the job.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Agreed.
But I want to talk a little bit about the combine and teams in the top 5, top 10. I watched a lot of the combine on Saturday, which was wide receiver and quarterback heavy and tight ends, but I didn't get the tight end part. Watched a lot of the quarterbacks. If I'm the Bears, I'm trading out of it. Because I think Justin Fields has done enough. You have to give him a shot.
Definitely.
It's a big decision though, because say he flames out in 2 years, then you look back, the Bears are always making the wrong decisions when it comes to quarterbacks. I mean, they trade up for Trubisky instead of Mahomes. And in the last so many teams that have traded up to get a quarterback, it hasn't worked out. But if I'm the Bears, you're going to have a lot of suitors for that number 1 pick.
For sure.
I'm looking at number 9 if I can get it from Carolina, because I think you could get 3 first-round picks out of Carolina for a 9th pick and maybe a 2nd round as well. Or I'm looking at the Colts at number 4. Get a 1st round, get a 2nd round, get another 1st round.
Colts have to be like absolutely convicted to, or have this conviction to trade up though, because you're looking. I mean, Bryce Young's probably going to go 1. Do you think Bryce Young is so much higher than a CJ Stroud to trade multiple first-round picks? That's what Colts have to figure out.
And I know I was just watching the combine, but I watched a decent amount of Stroud, being a Big Ten fan, and Young because Alabama's on national television every week. I think Stroud's going to be better. I would take Stroud number 1.
I agree. Bigger.
He looked awesome the other day.
Yeah. The 2 guys I'd stay away from, Anthony Richardson from Florida, that just raving about. He's fast. He can jump. Why does a quarterback need to jump?
I mean, he blew everybody away with his physical tools, and it was cool seeing him throw a deep ball 65 yards in the air. But he reminds me of kind of a RG3, which if RG3 didn't blow his knee out, maybe he's better. Or, a Cam Newton. And he also reminds me of Freeman, Josh Freeman, a lot.
That's a very good,
big, good physical quarterback. Everybody was gushing over. Tampa Bay takes him top 10. Somebody's going to take him in the top 10. I think he's going to be a bust. I don't think he's going to be good.
He's the type of prospect that gets a GM and head coach fired.
I hope the Raiders take him.
They might. Josh Freeman's a very good comparison. Now that you said his production at Florida was terrible this year, and people say, well, Josh Allen's production was terrible. He was at Wyoming. He had nobody to throw the ball to.
Right.
The offensive line was terrible. Nothing around him.
Right.
You put Josh Allen down in Florida, he probably would have torn up. Will Levis is another guy
I'm right there with you.
That's just good enough to get a head coach and GM fired as well.
Strong arm, and he showed off at the combine, but I didn't think he produced this year at Kentucky with decent talent around him. That's a good comparison. So I think it's Stroud and Young, and then I don't know who the third guy I think that'll have the most success is. Maybe Hayden Hooker if he's healthy.
Maybe if he's healthy.
I thought Bennett did really well at the combine from Georgia.
He'll be in that like 5th, 6th round range.
Right.
And
there was a lot of those quarterbacks will be mid rounders, but Richardson and Stroud were the two I wanted to talk about because everybody was gushing about their performances, but Stroud just looked head and shoulders better to me. And I know they're not getting rushed or anything, but they're also not throwing the guys they have chemistry with. Yeah, so I think that's a big thing to take in consideration. And the combine, they've changed it since we went. That you can sit closer to the field now and you can cheer and stuff. So you can actually have fun at it. But it was interesting to watch. And, they were talking all different off-season stuff going on. And just like we said, always a lot going on in the NFL.
Always. Any other NFL? It seems like we're missing something.
I know. I feel like we're missing something too, but I can't think.
I think we covered it all. Who do you think's helped themselves the most from the combine?
The draft?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to be biased here, but Purdue's Charlie Jones had a great combine the other day to where Daniel Jeremiah said he might have worked himself into a 3rd-round pick.
Wow.
He ran a 4.4440. So he ran it both same time, and then he did good on the gauntlet, did good on the deep ball, which was cool. He and Aiden O'Connell actually hooked up one time on the deep ball. Cool. I think Aiden will get drafted too. I think he'll be a 5th, 6th, 7th rounder. But I think he'll get drafted. I think Purdue will have a handful of guys get drafted this year. They had 5 go to the combine. But I think Charlie Jones really helped himself. Quarterback-wise, I thought Bennett helped himself. I'm not so sure about the other guys that were already mocked first round. And I need to work on my mock draft, by the way. I haven't released any yet, so maybe I'll do that.
I got a month and a half or so till draft.
But it was cool to see some of the guys around the 40s. I'm blanking on his name. Wide receiver from Nebraska.
Oh, Palmer?
Yeah, he blew everybody out of the water on the 40
fast
for the wide receiver. He was ridiculous. So it's probably like he had like 250 receiving yards on Purdue this year. So, but no, I'm football is the one sport I can watch stuff about the offseason and everything, not really get tired about it. So.
Ready for that birdie bogey?
I am. I'm ready to get a bogey and be tied. Let's do it.
Dame Ian Lillard had his 5th game with 60 or more points, which is 3rd most of all time. What 2 players have more?
I'm not confident in this guy, but he's such a good player. Put up great numbers back in the day. Doesn't get enough respect. Will Chamberlain?
He is one of them.
All right.
How many times? He had 32 of them, by the way. He's by far the most.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't get enough respect. And how many over 60 again? Can you remind me?
Dame Lillard had 5 of them. Wilt Chamberlain had 32 of them.
And there was one other guy who has more.
One other guy who had more than 5.
I'm between 2 guys. I just don't know which one to pick. I'm between 3 guys now. I'll even throw the three guys I'm out, and then I'll choose which one. I'm between Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson. I'm going Kobe Bryant.
You chose correctly, man.
2 Lakers.
Yeah. He had 6 of them, so Dame's probably going to pass him.
Ooh.
You have a 2-stroke lead, but don't get a swelled head yet, because I think I had a 2-stroke lead in November.
I think you had a 3-stroke lead.
Yeah. Ended up tying. So.
Well, before we end this episode, this is the J-Man's last episode as a non-married man. So
yes, sir.
Come back for episode 330 next week, and
I'll have a ring on my finger.
You'll have a ring on your finger and Mrs. Mutt in the house.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Yep. Can't wait. Thanks for watching the Tan and J-Man Show, everybody. Have a fantastic week.